This is Marisa. Marisa's been with Pitt Meadows Plumbing for about 5.5 years. She is an A-level Red Seal welder and is the lead hand for our stainless steel welding shop here in this facility here. Next to her, we have Megan. Megan's been with us on this go-around for about 4 years. Is that right, Megan, I think? Yeah, about 4 years. And she is a Red Seal plumber. And Megan is a lead hand on our City of Lougheed project. I have that right? Yeah, okay. And then next we have Christina. And Christina has been with us for about a year, and she's one of our senior BIM designers. And she came to us with lots of design experience and has been a great addition to the team. She has a degree in architecture and urban planning and works on both residential and institutional projects. And then last but not least, we have Austin. Austin has been with Pitt Meadows Plumbing for about 8 years and is one of our project managers. Austin is a graduate of the School of Construction and the Environment at BCIT, and Austin manages projects in both the institutional and residential sectors for our company. So, without any further ado, Amy, I'm going to turn it over to you. So basically the way this is going to work is they've got some questions that they'll work through. They're going to share the microphones, and then after that part is done, what we'll do is we'll throw it open to some general questions from anybody else that has, and I'll just come out and give you the microphone so you can ask your question. All right, Amy, over to you.
So I love this. By the way, we say ladies first. So Austin, just joking. But you're the odd man out, so this is good. And like normally, this is not how it is, but at Pitt Meadows, this is how it works. So tell me a little bit what sparked your interest to get into construction, because you studied at BCIT, and how did this all start for you?
So out of high school, I really wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do, and so I kind of floated around doing some odd ends and stuff, and eventually decided that something in the construction world or architecture world was interesting to me. So I went to BCIT into their architecture and building engineering program, which is kind of just a very broad program that teaches you a lot about construction, architecture, building design, and kind of just, felt my way through that, and felt an interest in the construction industry and some of the interesting things that are happening in town here with that. And that's kind of where it started.
Tell me about where you are now. Like, what's the progression to your job now?
So coming out of that program at BCIT, it's funny actually, I didn't really have any thought in my mind to work for a subcontractor, trade contractor. I had it set in my mind that I would work for a general contractor or an owner's rep. And actually Steve Robinson, one of the owners of Pitt Meadows, came and grabbed me one day and he's like, you gotta come work for me. And so I kind of landed here almost by accident, but life kind of has a funny way of those things happening. But anyway, over my 8 years with Pitt Meadows, I started as a project coordinator, working at Park Casino in Vancouver, and kind of just progressed from there through that project up into an assistant project manager, and now I'm managing various large-scale residential jobs and starting on some institutional work as well. So it's been an interesting progression with Pitt Meadows, and what's always stood out about Pitt Meadows for me is like there's just so many different opportunities, and especially with these like technological changes and advancements that I've seen in my years, it's like there are so many avenues. Where I've got to now, like it could have been a totally different avenue if I wanted it to be.
And you're still young. It could be a whole nother avenue. When you're done, you've only been here 8 years, and you've had like a pretty fast progression, which is amazing, into something else. Okay, great. Maybe you'll hand the mic over to Marisa. And how did you get into this, and what sparked your interest, and where'd you start, and where are you at now? Tell me how you got into it.
I started working with my hands when I was a kid with my dad, building decks, pergola, and then when I went into high school, I did woodworking courses, art metal, that sort of thing, and then I veered away from trades and went more into English and literature and creative writing. I did that in university, and then I kind of hated it, and I decided to go back into trades, and I had a family friend who'd been telling me since I was a kid, be a welder, be a welder, be a welder, and I was considering the Trades Discovery program at BCIT, and instead I just decided to go straight for welding and try it out, because then at least I have a ticket at the end of the day. And 3 years later, I've got all my tickets, and here I am.
So explain to everybody what a ticket is, just in case some of the kids don't know what a ticket is.
Basically, it's your proof of completion of your program. It means that you're certified to do your job, at least in welding. Your foundations ticket means that in an apprenticeship, it's level 1 and 2. So you're certified with the Canadian Welding Bureau and the ITA, and then you can certify to specific tickets. Welding's really particular, where different codes have different required tickets, and you have to test to them regularly. So I constantly am proving that I'm able to do my job.
You know, it's funny, when I go to factories, this is true. If they have a lot of welding equipment and things like that, inevitably at a lot of factories, the most certified welder is a young woman in their shop. I don't know what it is, but like around the world, somehow there's like a young woman that's taken more and more classes, more and more certifications. And even on, so my daughter, I said, is 14. She's a competitive rugby player, like I used to be. 4 girls on her high school rugby team are all welders already. So it's like, I don't know what it is. Like, whoever said welding isn't cool, or actually what the gentleman said is welding isn't sexy. And I was like, welding's, sorry, Mom. Like, but welding's really awesome. Like, and there are a lot of young women that are getting involved in welding. And I think, you know, everywhere I go around the world, it just happens to be like one of those things that the most experienced welder in a lot of these companies is a woman. So tell me where you're at now in the progression. Like, how long have you been here? Where are you at now at Pitt Meadows?
I started here just over 5 years ago, 5.5 years. And I started off doing steel pipe welding with my foundations level. I came in and after a year I did my level 3. I started working in stainless, doing stainless pipe, running our orbital welder. And then I went back and did my A level so I could get my pressure ticket. And now I'm doing high pressure stainless pipe, and I've recently developed a copper nickel procedure.
Oh my goodness.
And now I'm a lead hand for our stainless welding department.
Remember when they said they're looking for active learners? Give her a round of applause. Like, for sure you are embodying the active learner situation. Okay, maybe you can hand the mic off to Megan. Tell us, how did this start for you, and where are you at now with it? What sparked your interest?
Well, I finished high school, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, which is very typical. And I kept applying places. I thought I'll be a waitress, you know, I'll go serve people. And I kept applying places and kept getting turned down. And I just felt like, where is this leading? And my dad was really kind of sly. Like, he was like, you should come and, you know, clean the trailer, and you should come organize my shop. And I was like, okay, fine. And so I went and did those things, and then one day when I was cleaning the shop, he was like, I just need someone on deck, so why don't you come and put some cans on? And I was like, oh, I don't know, because I never wanted to be a plumber. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. That's weird. Not for me. And then I went and did work on a deck, and then it just, I sort of took over and like ran the deck, did some fun stuff, and ended up signing up with Pitt Meadows over 20 years ago, and worked for 5 years, got my ticket, and ended up going off for 13 years and having 4 kids, and then moving away and moving back. And my brother said to me, you know, you should maybe try again plumbing. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm old now. You know?
Once you have kids, you get old.
Yeah, it's true. And I was like, might as well give it a try. Why not, right? And I remember I was really nervous about starting again, and nervous about being on site, and because 20 years ago, sites were much different than they are now. And I loved I loved sites back then, but it was more of a guarded situation. Like you definitely had to be on your guard. And I was one on my old sites 20 years ago, one woman on with 500 people,
Right.
no other women.
Right.
And I was, yeah, anyway, so I said, I'll try it again, no problem. And I went back on site, and again, I just sort of took over. And I've been back now for 4 years, and I just became a lead hand about a month ago.
Nice.
Yeah, because I've been driving my kids to school for the 4 years, so I wasn't able to work full time. So I just became lead hand, and that's kind of where, obviously, I'm thrilled to be, because I love teaching youth.
That's awesome.
That is a passion of mine. Seeing their faces and having them just be like, I don't understand. And me being like, that's okay. No one is born knowing how to do this stuff.
Right.
We all needed to learn this step by step as we went. So it's little tiny pieces of information.
Right.
And having a lot of grace for people, including myself. And yeah, that's where I am.
I love that you could get that skill early on and that you can always go back to it. You always have your ticket. You can always, that's the beautiful thing about
Yeah.
it. They can never, they keep it up with it, obviously.
That's one of his little things he told me. He was like, listen, just get your ticket.
Yep.
Once you have your ticket, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
You can use that money that you're making with your ticket to pay for schooling, to do whatever you want to do.
Right.
He's tricky. He's tricky.
He's tricky that way.
Yeah.
By the way, you can travel too. That's one of the great things. There are so many countries like Australia or even Dubai in the Middle East that are looking for certified welders and plumbers right now. Some of the biggest jobs in the world are happening in far off places. Sorry, moms and dads. That you can even make more money because they are attracting the best trades talents around the world right now, and they need them so badly that they're paying very, very good rates around the world. Not that you should leave here. You should never leave here. But so, Christina, how about you?
Yeah, so since I was very young, I decided I wanted to pursue a career in the construction industry because of my family's background. Both parents are engineers. I have also two siblings that also are engineers. But when I was in high school, I decided I wanted more the design concept of it, so I decided to study architecture. So after I graduated, I worked for a construction company, and I did some projects for them, but mainly my main task there was doing estimates and also schedules for the constructions of
Right.
these houses. And
Talk a little louder because what you have to say is important.
oh, sorry.
That's okay.
And then in the last 5 years ago, 5 years ago, I moved here into Canada, and I started a career 4 years ago here as a BIM designer. So that was a big change in my life also. So it was really good to have this experience to see another side of the construction that I wasn't aware of. So the BIM design is in the mechanical service area is really grateful for you to be seeing different opportunities that you can work with the project to make it work for the site and for the daily maintenance of the building. So
Right.
it's been really interesting, this new path that I'm following.
How great is it to see stuff you're drawing or conceptualizing actually being built right in front of you? Because most of the architects I know, not all of them, but a few of them have never even, when they first get out of school, they don't even know how things are built. They've never been on a job site. They don't actually know what they're drawing. They have the idea, but they've never seen it in real life. How good is that for you to feel and touch it?
Oh, it's great to see, because in my daily job, I see a lot of the 3D modeling and just this design concept, but to be able to go onto site and see how things really turn out, and it's just a great experience to be able to see how my work really helped to make things better, So
I love it.
it's really, I really like it. So.
Well, let me go back to Austin for a minute. What do you think is, what have you learned one thing, just give me like one thing that you can say, this is the one skill or way that I work that made me successful. What would that be for you?
That's a good question. I think
You got these before I did too, Reg, so no. I'm just
so
kidding.
I thought about it a little
Just
bit.
checking. No.
Honestly, I think like one of the biggest things that has me kind of where I am today, and in big part due to Pitt Meadows, is like just the philosophy that it's okay to try things and be innovative and make mistakes. And like I've learned a lot of what I learned from kind of being thrown in the deep end isn't the right word.
No, that's a great word.
Pushed out of your comfort zone and enabled to kind of go, do your research on your own, go learn things, go try things,
Yeah.
and be experimental and learn from your mistakes. And
Good.
yeah,
The best companies celebrate failure, by the way.
100%.
The best companies out there celebrate failures. So good on you guys, Pitt Meadows. Let's go back to Christina. What about you? What do you think has been one particular skill set or something like a piece of advice that you've learned that has made you successful here?
Yes, so collaboration, a lot of communication, especially with team members. I've learned so much, even asking questions to the site team or even my colleagues at work, asking questions how to make the things, how to work. So for sure, collaborating has been the most important thing. A lot of communication with them. So.
And you guys practice Berkman here. Did you all take your Berkman, some of you? So everybody collaborates and communicates differently. So there are tests you can take, actually, assessments, not tests, assessments you can take to know how to build a high-performing team that I know Pitt Meadows invests in. We have that same, we do Berkman as well at Autodesk. So I think collaboration is key, for sure. By the way, there's no true collaboration without conflict, I always say. You need to have a little bit of conflict so we know we're really collaborating and not just agreeing with each other. Okay, what about you ladies?
For me, for sure, it's being teachable by anyone and everyone. Like walking in there and knowing that the apprentice that just got hired today can teach me something, and not thinking that I know everything and being like, when they say an idea and they're like, oh, what if we do it like this? And I'm like, instead of being like, nah, do it my way, I'm like, oh, interesting, can you show me again? Like, okay, well, maybe that'll work great, or that actually won't work because of this, but remembering all the time that I need to be teachable, because that's really, really important to me.
I like that.
For me, I would say it's my willingness to want to be able to do everything. I've learned how to run every piece of equipment in our welding department from bottom to top, and now I'm the one who's trying to figure out how to learn all these new things. We're developing copper nickel procedures, and I'm the first person, okay, well, we got to get Marisa to try and figure that out. And now I can share the knowledge to the apprentices and say, okay, this is what I've figured out. What do you think? What do you have any ideas of how we can make this better? And wanting to, I guess, learn it all.
She's the active learner for sure. We'll stick with you for a sec and we'll work our way back. What do you think the most rewarding part of your job is? Like, if you didn't, like, again, when you don't know that you're going to get into this space or work here, like, looking back now, what would you have missed out on if you didn't get into the trades and get into the space that you're in today?
I love creating something that is going to outlive me. Like, I've driven past sites that I've worked on and seen, there's a project we worked on in Penticton Hospital, and on the outside of the building is a bunch of stainless for their helicopter pad. And I can see, it's my first stainless project.
Oh.
And I can see it all on the outside of the building, and my parents live in the Okanagan, and so I drive past that hospital all the time, and I look at it, and I'm the annoying person who's like, hey, I built that.
I love that.
And we last year finished a big project for Powell River, and it was the biggest diameter pipe I've ever worked on. I built 30-inch headers, and we just got photos the other day showing them all installed and seeing it all lined up perfectly, and having the whole, looking at the room and thinking, okay, I built that, and seeing how it's all working and it all fit. It's really cool.
You're healing people really in that hospital, by the way. People are being healed in that hospital, and you are a part of that. I mean, think about that. Not just that building was built, but something's happening there that needed to happen that you were a part of. So I think that's great. Megan, what about you? What, like, looking back now, the reluctant plumber, what would you have missed out on?
Well, that's kind of funny because I remember my first year in plumbing was not awesome. And it was hard, and I was doing hard things, and it was so different from what I was used to. And I'll always remember putting in my first piece of cast and like standing back and being like, I did that. Like, people didn't think I could, and I did. And every day, that sense of accomplishment is like huge. You know, looking and putting it down and being like, I figured it out, and I put it in, and it looks great, and it works well, and that sense of accomplishment is huge for me. But also, too, it's like teaching, like seeing a kid that, or even a full-grown man, seeing them and teaching them and having them have that same sense of accomplishment and say, I did that. And I'm like, and that looks amazing. Good job.
And they feel that way. They feel that way now that you feel like you're paying it forward.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Like it's there's nothing like it. And that's actually what kept me in plumbing for so long, is when I first did that and I saw that reward of, I can do this. Like, so many people don't think I can, and I did. That was like, you know what, I think I like this. Like, I think I really like this.
Right.
And then the more things I learned and the more schooling I took, the more I was like, you know, I don't even like this. I love this. I love putting pipe in and talking to people and laughing and joking on job sites.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
I like it.
But yeah, so many things that are good.
I love it. Christina, tell me, like, what has been really successful for you here? Like a moment or a feeling or something that you wouldn't have had if you didn't come down this path?
Yeah, so it's really rewarding to see that when it's installed, all the mechanical service that you've been planning and rerouting them, so it would be in a good location, it would be properly prefab to be sent to the site. So it's really rewarding to see the outcome of the projects that you've been working on so hard and coordinating with the other trades to see how to make everything fit in that tiny space. So it's really rewarding to see how things really get done nicely and it's working. So
I feel like in this space, it's like the kind of jobs that, like, you know what doing a good job looks like. Like, you can go home that night and be like, that was good. That was successful. Some of my friends that don't work within our space, they could work for months and months and months and not know if they're doing a good job every day. But you can come home and know, like, that all was drawn. It fit perfectly. You can come home and you know you were successful that day, right? You know? That's a good feeling.
no, for sure it is.
How about you, Austin?
I think for me, the most rewarding part of my role, or what my role has become, I see my role as a manager really as, like, I'm working for our people in the field, our superintendents, our foremen, and our plumbers. So for me, it's really rewarding to empower and, you know, assist our lovely folks in the field to do their job. And I find it very rewarding when you can interact with, for me, I'm mostly interacting like with our superintendents and foreman level, but to just encourage those people to go and, you know, make decisions and do stuff, and to see kind of the growth of our other leaders in the company developing, you know, in part through what I'm, you know, how I'm able to kind of interact with that. So that's a huge rewarding part for me. And then, like, as you know, a manager, I've had the privilege of being able to travel a great deal for work too, which is not something I thought would be involved with the industry really, but I mean, being in the position I'm in, it's taken me to Italy, all over the United States and Canada, and you know, I get to know a bunch of the people standing in the back of the room here, and I've made some really good connections with our partners in the industry across the country, across the United States. So it's it's very fulfilling to kind of meet these innovators in the industry and be able to interact one-on-one with like these brilliant minds and just like take it all in from them. So that part gets me quite fired up. So
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, a lot of my friends that work in the space travel extensively if they want to, right? Like some of them don't travel at all. You could be at a shop like this and co-locate your daycare and your college with your work if you want to, right? And live right here and have it right next to you. Or you can have an opportunity. I mean, I've been to Kuala Lumpur and Thailand, New Zealand, Australia, Africa I got to travel to. I mean, we had a job in South Africa and in Kenya. So, I mean, there's so many great opportunities to really see the world in this and to meet really interesting people. I always tell everyone, talk to everybody. Ask them about their business, ask them about what they do. I don't care if you're standing in line at Starbucks or Tim Hortons or like on a plane, wherever you are, talk to people about their jobs. It's really, you learn a lot. So my last question, and that's a warning to you guys in the audience, start thinking of one or two questions you want to ask these great people. But my last question is, and not all of you have to answer it if you don't feel comfortable, but what's exciting to you about advancements that are coming down, developments in the space or technology or changes that you're seeing just overall in general? If you want to answer that, feel free. Anything that gets you really excited? You can say industrialized construction. I mean, you don't have to, but.
Does anyone want to start? So for me, like having started with Pitt Meadows 8 years ago, I think I kind of came in right as our kind of technological industrialized construction was really taking off. And I remember being here when we had one BIM designer and we were only modeling mechanical rooms and prefabbing mechanical rooms. So just like the technology that I've seen, Trimble and this, some of the augmented reality type things and modeling and all these integrations, and robots and like, there's just so much exciting stuff in this space that you never would have thought would have been a part of plumbing or construction probably 10 years ago. And there's just so much exciting stuff on the horizon. Chat GPT with like there's just all this crazy technology, and it's just I don't think, at least for me, like I can't fully comprehend like what our industry might look like in 5 years. Like it's really a wild card. I think it's going to look a lot different in my mind. But yeah, it's exciting. There's just cool stuff, and I don't know exactly what it looks like, but I'm excited.
We just did some research, actually, to your point, recently in the U.S. with some big architecture, engineering, and construction firms, mostly construction firms. And I think it was almost 60% said in the next 5 years, they're going to become far more important in front of the design process. So they'll be at the forefront of the design build process. Over a third of the audience said that their business will look completely differently than it does today, and they've already started that transformation. A third. And I think that if you think about it, if you start with a company today, in 5 years, you're right, these businesses are going to look completely different than they do today.
Well, there's actually a ton of inefficiency still in the industry. Like, to your point, a lot on that design side. Like, what some of the owners are doing, the process is just, it doesn't make sense really at this point. So we're seeing a shift already in the direction of front-loading design and design assist, and we're heavily involved with that. There's going to be a huge push towards that. I think the whole project, the whole life stage development of a process of a project will look different.
Knowledge is power, you guys. And if you're the maker, you have all the knowledge in this space. Yeah. So the knowledge is getting pushed to the front of the process. How about you ladies? Anything you're excited about?
Well, I just want to talk about how cool it is to be on site and be like, I don't know where this pipe is, and pull up the drawings on my phone and just go through them. And even I'm finishing in the penthouse right now, and it's like all of those special fixtures, I have all of those shop drawings right on my phone. I can look, see exactly where they want that to be, measure it out, put it out right there. I don't have to call anyone else and be like, hey, where do you want this? I'm like, I'm going to lay it out right now. I have drawings right here. Like in comparison, 20 years ago, like
flipping through drawings.
Where's that drawing? and don't get it wet.
Hopefully you have the right drawing at that point too. Like, are they
Hopefully you
old
have the
drawings?
most
Like,
updated drawing, right? So, but this is so easy. And
Yeah.
I know, oh, where's that gas valve? And it's like, I look on my phone and I'm like, it's right there.
Right.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Done. So I have no idea where the industry is going, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I have 4 kids, and my oldest is 16, and the things he talks about, and I'm like, man, that's cool.
yeah.
Wow, that's crazy to think that this is where we're going, right?
Right.
I just empower them. Like, whatever you want to do, just do it.
Exactly.
Like, we'll give you the tools, and we'll help you get there.
Yeah.
'Cause it'll help all of us, right?
How about you guys? And I'm getting up because I want to see questions out there from you guys.
I know there's been a lot of advancements in robotic welding coming out.
Oh my goodness.
Laser welding seems to be one that a lot of companies have been starting to develop. I don't know where else. I mean, same thing. Being able to use Stratus and look at the spool I'm building, and being able to spin it around, look at it from a different angle, make sure that I'm leveling everything properly and that all my angles are correct. It's so much easier than paper isometric drawings.
Right. Got to digitize.
It's incredible. The welding portion, I know the advancements are so fast. All of a sudden, all these new robotic welding machines are coming out. I'm sure those are going to continue to advance. They're creating ones that now not just go around the pipe, but can do different positions in welding, so you can have a fixed piece and it'll go around your spool instead of just a fixed one dimension.
You might be my new phone a friend when I'm like, I have a welding question, and then I'm going to call you just so we know. I'm going to be like, hey.
I'll do my best to answer.
All right, I like it. Christina, do you want to answer, or we go to audience? Who's got questions? Christina, you got one?
Oh, no, it's just compliment. Like 5 years ago, for example, I was used to more just working on an AutoCAD basis, and then now in the BIM design, I had to learn work on Revit on the 3D modeling design, and then also on Navisworks and Revisto that are an excellent tool. And
Yes.
you can see that they are all evolving every day, new add-ins to make it more efficient. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in 5 years, but yeah.
Literally, you really meant it, because I know the technology, like, you're literally looking on your phone. You can look at any piece part in the entire, like, literally on your iPhone. It's insanity when you think we used to, like, they had them hung on the wall because they were too heavy to pick up, the drawings, like, at that point. Yeah. Oh, yeah, any questions? We might have to share.
Yeah, so they're going to check out the other microphone.
Okay.
But does anybody have any questions now? And I'll bring the mic to you. You can ask the question, and then we can get somebody to answer it.
I love
yes.
I'm just wondering about robotics and stuff, if you guys are ever worried about robotics potentially replacing your specific line of work. If you guys ever worry about it.
Somebody's got to run the robot.
She said somebody's got to run the robot.
Yes.
Do you
That's a
guys
great
know what
question.
cobots? You know what cobots are, actually? You should look up cobots. And so cobots actually allow you, the human, to interact with the robot so that the robot learns faster. And so cobots are actually the newest trend in robotics, even in construction and manufacturing. So not only can she program the robot, she can actually interact with robots right now and actually move the robot to where she wants it to do work as the robot's learning.
And the other thing that I think that we always have to remember is the stat that Amy gave us in the original talk was there are going to be over 200 million construction-related jobs worldwide. So the challenge is it's not about robots replacing workers. The problem is we don't have enough workers to actually do the work. So if we don't leverage these new disruptive technologies like AI, like robotic welding, like automated tooling, like all the stuff that we see here, then we're not actually going to be able to build the buildings and build the cities and build the hospitals and prisons and schools and everything that we need as a society. So that's a huge part, but that's an absolutely fabulous question that we get fairly often. Other questions? Oh, I see one. Brad?
Sorry, this is just maybe an extension of what you were talking about. A lot of young people nowadays are their decisions are influenced by parents, educators. If you were speaking to a group of parents or educators, what would be the best advice that you could give them so they could pass their messaging on to the people that the young people of today?
Well, actually, one of my advice that I like giving to teenagers nowadays and for the past 10 years is I say just get out there and try stuff. Like, you don't know when you're sitting and looking at paper and books and thinking about what you want to do. You don't actually know what you're going to feel doing those things. And there's so many often instances where you take school for something and you're like, this is what I want to do, and you turn and you're like, I hate this stuff. Right? So I tell everybody, like, just go out and try. Ask someone if you can have a summer job, ask someone if you can, I know there's lots of, BCIT has lots of programs about trying a whole bunch of different trades. Try a bunch of those and be open-minded. And there's also personality tests you can take online where it shows you where you would work best, but having an open mind and knowing that if you know someone who can hire you, often that's better. And I tell my kids, I have a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old, and 13-year-old, and 11-year-old, and I say, just work. Don't be picky about where you're going to work. Just go get a job. Just get one. And when you get one and you don't really like it, get another one. Try things. That's what I'm always telling people.
Yeah, if I can tag on to that, one of Amy's slides earlier was kind of showing these key traits that the industry is looking for. And I would just say that there's so much opportunity and diversity in the construction industry right now that if you get a foot in the door and with the right company, and there are a bunch of great companies locally like that, if you look around this shop, we're looking for good people. And I think the industry is looking for good or great people, right? So get in, and there's so many opportunities. And I know here, we don't want people in a role that they're not thriving in. So if you come here and you think you want to be a welder and you get in the shop and you're like, man, welding's not for me, look around. We will put you somewhere where you're happy. And maybe that's not on the shop floor. Maybe that's, in the head office, or maybe that's behind a computer screen. But there's just so much opportunity in this industry, and there are a lot of great partners that are willing to work with great people to get you into the role that is right for you, right?
Maybe I'll just add something, if you don't mind, one thing. So for those of you, I'm neurally diverse, and we have a mind program at Autodesk where people that are neurally diverse can actually meet together. So it's part of the diversity and inclusion we have at Autodesk. My brain actually processes information differently than other people. So I wasn't a very good student, by the way. So I did much better when I went later on in life, when I understood my neural diversity, to go back to HBS. But I never went to class. It was very hard for me to pay attention in class because I actually map very complex things these days very quickly. I write frameworks and I understand networks of things that are very different, that I couldn't have been a very good student sitting and learning certain aspects of what they were teaching me. So I've met more people that are neurally diverse in this construction world because they weren't great students, not because they weren't smart. They just didn't learn the way that other people's brains work. So if you're part of that group that I'm in, feel free privately or publicly to come up and talk to me, because I feel like that's a big part of why sometimes people are pushed into this space, is they weren't really great students or they didn't think about college because it wasn't attractive to them. But there's a place for you in this space. And sometimes it even leads you to do some of the most complex things in this space that are very rewarding wherever it is, with robots and with strategy and networks and technology. So I just want to put that out there. If you're one of those people or kids, don't be worried.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, let's give a round of applause to our panelists. So thank you very much. If you have other questions for them, they'll still be available.